right. Hello everybody. Welcome back. Soul Commodore here. And once again today we're working on this piece. Last time we were together we kind of redid these shingles. Now we've got slats that we're going to do. We're going to work this into more detailed shingles once the time comes. But for now, we're actually not going to touch those until maybe like closer to the end of the video today. What we're going to focus on is doing this foreground here and finishing all this up. And then we'll swing back around to do more details on the shingles after that. But yeah, that's the plan for today, I think. Plans, of course, are subject to change, so who knows. I hope you all are not suffering too much with the effects of daylight savings time, with the clocks springing ahead. I don't think we'll have to deal with that much longer in Ontario, where I live, which I'm thankful for. It's never really affected me too much. I mean, I'm a little bit tired today, but it's still just annoying. Like it's outdated. We don't really need daylight savings time anymore. It doesn't make sense to keep it, and I'm in favor of like ditching stuff that doesn't make sense anymore. So, with all that being said, let's get our paint together, and then let's actually get painted. So we got our trusty palette right here. And we're gonna grab some black paint because we're gonna need a fair amount of that today for mixing. So we got that right here. Let me hold that up higher. Where are my other things? There it is. There's my yellow. Okay. But yeah, I hope y'all are having a good day so far. And our cerulean blue. Which we'll need some of this too. Not a whole lot, but some. And got some red. That's enough red. And finally, white. I've mentioned before, in streams before, I only use 5 colors. The cadmium red, cadmium yellow, cerulean blue, black, and white. You know, very limited palette, but as you can see, well, maybe this painting isn't the best example because this is all very gray, and these are pretty dark, but there are some colors in there. And this is, there isn't too much color variation with these. But you can get like the whole range of color with just those 5 colors. So I tend to keep it simple. It also ends up being cheaper. You know, because I don't have to spend a whole lot of money buying all sorts of different colors of paint. So with that, I'm going to turn the music up a little bit because our heater is going and this music is very low. There we go. I don't know why it's so low, but no matter. Okay, so we got our paints. Now we just got to get our brushes together. And got our trusty rag. It's just an old pair of boxers that I wasn't wearing anymore. So it made more sense to repurpose it into a paint rag. Yeah, we had a good day yesterday. My girlfriend had to work the whole day, but I guess making overtime money is nice. But I went to the gym really early, and then had a nice stream yesterday playing some Breath of the Wild, and then I went out to have lunch with a university friend of mine. So that was nice to see that he's doing well. And then after my girlfriend got done work, we went into the city to meet another university friend of mine with his girlfriend and their baby. So that was really nice to see them. Really nice to see them. So it was a busy day, but a good day, you know. Okay. So I'm going to bring up my reference image just to see what it is that I'm working with. Ah, good evening, Trip. How you doing today? How you doing today? I'm guessing, like, it's pretty much Monday morning for you now, right? You good? Good. Good. I'm glad. Glad to hear it. Oh, it's 11 p.m. Sunday, so okay. Okay, fair. That's right. You're like directly 12 hours ahead. Like exactly 12 hours ahead. Nice. Oh, it's no trouble at all. Also, my apologies, Trip, because I just noticed in my thing, I don't remember if I thanked you for the gift sub over at Zeph's stream. But if I didn't, first of all, I apologize, and secondly, thank you. It's very generous. So we're just doing some painting on this pillar. Well, it may be no problem, but still, I thank you. I need this to be a little bit darker up here, actually, because there's going to be a little bit of a shadow. Pietro, glad you're doing well. It's good to see you. It's always good to see you. You always bring such good conversation and good energy to the stream, which I always appreciate. Hey, Redria. All your clocks change themselves except for your car and the microwave. Yeah, I need to change the clock in my car, and I need to. I had to change the clock on our oven, and we have an analog clock on our wall that I need to change. But yeah, welcome in, welcome in. How are you? Yeah, I hope the time change isn't affecting anybody too harshly. I mentioned earlier that the province that I live in, I think, is getting rid of daylight savings time, which, I mean, I could have that wrong, but the last I read, I thought they were getting rid of it, which would be nice, just because it's outdated and we don't need it anymore. Okay. So this pillar here is going to be all bricks. So I'm going to show you a little trick that I use for doing bricks. Because I see a lot of people doing bricks the same way that watercolor painters do bricks, right? And I'll demonstrate that in a second. I'm just kind of looking and seeing what I have to do for all the angles of the different fascia on the front of this house. So I think we'll tackle that first, and then I'll show you what I do for the bricks. But before we do that, actually, I am going to fill in this area. This tree is going to get covered up, but it's okay because we're going to repaint it later. Okay? So don't worry. The tree will get its day. We're just going to cover it up a little bit. I think I probably should use a smaller brush for this, but whatever. So just blending this in, getting a nice gradient. Because this whole area is all in shadow. We're gonna have to repaint that part of the pillar, but that's okay. That's not really an issue. It's more important that we get this paint up where we need it. There we go. Now we're going to add a little bit more of the shadow just in here, just to darken it up a touch. Now, just a fair warning to everybody, the stream might end a half hour early today, just because my girlfriend and I are doing our taxes today. So I need to prep a little bit for that. So it may end a little early, but we're going to be right back doing this painting tomorrow anyway. So there won't be too much that anyone's missing out on, because it is tax season. I always kind of like doing my taxes. Sounds interesting? Yeah, a lot of people don't like doing their taxes for various reasons, like it's boring or they find it difficult, which is fair. But I don't know. I've always kind of enjoyed it. I think it was one of those things when I moved out on my own, like up to this area. I was like, okay, well, I got to do these, so let's buckle down and do it. And then I found that it didn't actually take all that long. So it was sort of like one of those like, I am an adult, taking care of my business. You know, one of those types of moments. I mean, I would much rather be streaming and talking with you fine folks, but unfortunately taxes wait for no one. Much like time. And an impatient horse. Just waits for no one. Yeah, adulting. Yep. Yep. There we go. Now we've got clear delineation between this pillar and this area back here. And we've got a clear line here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come across here and start shaping this this fascia here on the front of the house. So that'll be the next step. So I need to get a different brush for that. And one brush that worked really well for me the last time we were together was this little guy. So we'll try that again. It feels weird doing like joint taxes because my girlfriend and I are like technically common law, so we have to file together. And it's just weird in an interesting way, like in a good way. Just because there was a long time in my life where I thought like I was never going to be in a relationship this long where you'd have to do like joint taxes. So it's a good feeling. That's a little bit too bright. So we'll dull that down a little bit. But I do want to give like a little bit of a shine to this. So we'll kind of gradient that up. Hey Ulrich, how are you? Good to see me at a civilized hour. Well, welcome in. Welcome in. How have you been? We're just doing some house painting right now. Working on the front of this house. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Glad to be moving forward. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, that's tough. It's not all bad. I have very slow leukemia. Could be a lot worse. Well, that's fair. That's fair. I'm glad you're looking at it at that way. People live into their 80s with it. Oh, well, that's a good prognosis at the very least. Yeah, well, I hope the chemo goes well, and I hope the treatment goes well, and that you were definitely one of those people that live into their 80s. How are things with me? I'm good. I'm good. I was just saying that might have to end stream a little bit early today, like a half hour early or so, because I have to get tax stuff ready, because my girlfriend and I are doing our taxes today, because it is that time of year. But yeah, no, we're good. Things are good. Yeah, no problem, no problem. Yeah. Honestly, sometimes how you approach health things can definitely help improve it, or you know. Oh, that's not a thing. Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, definitely your approach and your outlook uh, is very important in terms of like keeping your mental health up during a health scare or a health crisis. So I'm glad that you're approaching it the way that you are. My tax has to be done soon too. I'll try not to put it off all year again. Fair. Fair. It's been a wake-up call. That's also fair. Yeah, it definitely would be. It's taken quite a weight from your shoulders mentally. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, that's good. That's good. That's a positive thing. How so? If you don't mind sharing. Okay. Need to come back in there with a little bit of black. I need more black. Because when the doctor told me last year, he didn't mention how slow it was, and I thought I was going to die in weeks and months. Strangely, I felt kind of excited and relieved by the possibility. I know that's strange, but when you realize that life isn't permanent, it can be quite the relief. Yeah, I can understand that. I suppose, too, it can, like, snap you, when you get news like that, it can, like, snap things into perspective and see, like, kind of put into perspective, like, what you feel is important in your life and what isn't. Yeah. It wasn't a medical diagnosis on my own part, but I suppose I can somewhat relate to that, because I used to be a very anxious person, in terms of like how people perceived me and like approaching like new situations. I was very hesitant to, and then in 2016 my mom died, and none of us saw it coming, and it was a health issue that she had for a long time that all just kind of like culminated all at once and basically destroyed her liver, and none of us knew, and then after that, like, I was already pretty kind of like I had a lot of internal anxiety, but outwardly, like, I would give off this cool and calm thing because I didn't want to worry other people with it. But afterwards, it really snapped into perspective. Okay, all this like little shit that I worry about, none of it matters. Like, none of it matters. And looking back on it, like, I had a coworker, because I used to work at a fairly, well, it wasn't like crazy busy at this warehouse, but it could get like hectic and crazy sometimes. And I had a coworker tell me once, like, man, you never seem frazzled. You never seem like, you know, like when things get stressful around here, you always keep like a cool head about you. And I was like, listen, honestly, at the end of the day, like, I went through my mom's unexpected death. After that, everything else is easy, you know. Because at the end of the day, maybe this shipment doesn't go out, maybe it does go out, but it doesn't matter that much, you know. So it kind of shifted my perspective onto what's important and what's not. So I definitely see where you're coming from, Ulrich, and I can definitely relate in part, you know. Well, thanks, Trip. Yeah, like, I will always, like, I've told people now, like, I've kind of like processed my mom's dying, now, and I've come to terms with it and all that. So I am now at a stage where, like, if you want to ask about my mom or, like, you know, anything like that, like, feel free to. Like, I'm happy to talk about her. She was a lovely lady. I'm sorry about your mom, but I'm glad you had that experience so young. Yeah, yeah. I also have a lot of anxiety, which is slowly being let go now. True, true. Oh, Ulrich, nothing like that is ever too much for the chat. Like, this is a safe space. Like, if anybody has something on their mind, anything that's worrying them, anything that's like bothering them, like, they're free to express it here. Yeah, and like, I definitely agree. Like, we've kind of all been conditioned to just say, yeah, I'm good, you know. But no, we should all be a little bit more open, you know, and say how we're actually doing, you know. Like, we're coming into a movement where we talk about like it's very important to, like, mental health is extremely important, but it's still kind of taboo to tell people how you're actually feeling, you know? And it's like we should probably let go of that and let people express how it is that they are actually feeling. Some things seem okay to talk about now. It's a start, I suppose. Yeah, yeah. Like, it's definitely better than it was, I believe. Okay, so we got that line in. So that's good. And then we got to continue that dark line up here. So I think what we'll do, probably because everybody has them, anxiety, etc. True, true. Yeah, and it can be hard to, like, open up to people in that way. Which is why I try to let this place be a space where people can, you know? You do seem open to such things. Probably why I told you I haven't spoken about this on Twitter. Well, I mean, I wish circumstances were better, but I'm honored that you feel that way, and I'm glad that it comes across that you know, I'm not going to shut down topics that are a little, you know, on the sadder side, or, you know, stuff like that, because, you know, everybody has stuff on their mind, and if they feel comfortable to express it, they should. Even if that circumstance to express it is a Twitch stream, you know? Because there's a lot of people who are suffering through things that have no outlet, you know? That's a lot of paint. Well, a lot of it is dried paint, because I have a terrible, terrible habit of putting more paint on the canvas than I need. And a terrible habit of thinking that once I'm done painting on the stream, I'm going to, like, bring up another painting that I'm doing off stream and then start painting that, like, right away. But often I don't. I get caught up watching other people's streams, and then it's like, oh, all that paint dried. Whoops. So, yet another example of do as I say, not as I do, in terms of painting. Like, yeah, you probably shouldn't put more paint on the canvas than you think or on the palette than you reasonably believe you'll need. Otherwise, you just end up wasting a lot of paint. It looks like a futuristic desert. Yeah, yeah. It'll be a very interesting piece when I hang this up in a gallery with the other vinyl records that I use as palettes. Be like, this is my painting journey. These are the palettes that I used. Oh, dessert. Well, that too, yeah. Okay. Okay. So I need to put a line across here. Excuse me. To be honest, I don't like daylight saving. Me neither. Me neither. The only part I liked about it was like when I was younger, and it was like, oh yeah, we're getting an extra hour of sleep. Which turned into adult me being like, oh, I've got another hour of night owlish stuff to do, you know? But there's not really any need for it. Like, we don't need it anymore. Daylight savings made sense at one time in history, you know? But, like I said, it's not necessary anymore. So, it's time to do away with it. At least in my opinion, it's time to do away with it. I'm sure there are people who disagree and have good reasons for that disagreement. But in my opinion, we should get rid of daylight savings time. Okay. So now we come back in and do this base color again. Wonder how many paintings you've missed. You haven't been here in ages. What's the last painting that you remember seeing? Because maybe once I finish this section, I'll do a little rundown and I'll bring them on camera and show you just what we've been doing. I think the last one was the Drowned Man. Oh, okay, okay. So actually, the Drowned Man was the last painting we did before this one. So maybe you haven't missed all that much, but I will still like. Did you see the 6'4" one, or the 6x4 one, or the 6x4 one with all the clouds and the plane? Did you see the one with the van in the parking lot that's a square? What else have I done? Oh, you saw the plane. Okay, okay. There's also the one in the really dark room that was tinted red, and there was a dude in the doorway. There was the night one with the clouds with the moon shining through, with the two windows in the building that were illuminated. I think that was it. I think that's all I've done on stream, at least recently. Oh, you've seen all those. Okay, yeah. So you're caught up. You're on the most recent painting. It's like a Netflix series. Then, but if anybody else in the chat wants to see those other paintings because they might have missed them, feel free to say so because I can go get them and show them. Ooh. Okay, so now we just got to do this here. How does it look from a distance? Is my spacing okay? Okay, it's not the straightest line. Okay, so we're going to do that again. But that's okay. Do I ever update Insta? I do. Not as rapidly as I would like. Actually, I think I had said in Moni's stream a while back that I was planning on getting everything updated that weekend, and then proceeded to update one painting on Instagram. I should get better at that, but I'll probably put something up to see. The problem with me is, well, other than my brain, when I take pictures of this stuff. Like, I don't have the best lighting in this apartment, so sometimes I'll take a picture of something and then there will be like elements missing that I see in person that my camera doesn't pick up, because I also don't have the best camera. The best camera that I have is my phone, right? So then I'll also try to take pictures outside because that's better lighting, but even then it kind of gets iffy. So I end up taking like 20 pictures and then none of them turn out good, and then I just get frustrated and don't post anything. When in reality, like, I'm sure that the pictures are fine, right? Because no painting is going to look as good as a photograph as it is, like, seeing it on a wall, right? Excuse me. So I should just, like, get over it. But yes, I am actively trying to get better at updating my Instagram and whatnot. It hasn't been super successful so far, but I am trying. Well, thank you, Ulrich. I appreciate that. But yes, I should be, hopefully, I'll probably post some stuff this week. Most likely. Okay, how is that line? That line's better. Okay. That's too much white. Too much white paint. Do 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 do. Yo, Jake from the Woods, how you doing? How you doing? Welcome in. Welcome in. Just went for a walk for Pokemon Go community day. I swear I'm an adult. Hey, you know what an adult is, Jake? And I know you know this already, but I'm gonna lay it in. An adult, and a me? I don't know. But no, an adult is anybody who is over the age of 18 in Canada, who enjoys the things that they enjoy, you know, without hurting other people. So if you're an adult that still likes cartoons, go for what you know, Holmes. Cartoons are great. If you still like Pokemon Go, I mean, why not? It's a great way to be active and also engage with your favorite franchise. If you're an adult and you still want to eat cereal for dinner, hey, you know what? Go for it. Can't stay, gotta go, but have fun. Hey, Trip, thank you for hanging out for a bit and chatting with us. Really do appreciate it. Appreciate it every time you and, well, everyone comes in and chats or comes in and lurks. But I appreciate you being here. Like I said, you're a good dude, and you always bring good energy to the chat. So I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Lurk, there it is. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Appreciate it, Trip. I really do. Hey, Grey Cat, welcome in. Your mother is the most hardcore Pokemon Go player I know? Nice. Nice. Level 40. Oh man, I gotta tell my Pokemon Go. So, anybody who knows me knows that one of my favorite things to do is take like late night walks. It's where I get a lot of my... I like taking walks regardless, but it's where I get a lot of my reference photos, because I'll like just walk around neighborhoods and like snap pictures, you know? And I like doing that at night. So I was still living in my hometown of Chatham at the time when Pokemon Go dropped. So I went for one of my nightly strolls, and it's like 11 p.m. Now you have to understand, Chatham is like 45,000 people, but it's a largely elderly community. I would say, I don't know what the percentage of the community is elderly, but a good percentage of Chatham's population is elderly, like 60 plus, right? And a lot of like older, like middle-aged people. Anyway, needless to say, the streets are kind of dead after 8 p.m., right? So I go out for my walk, and it's like 10 or 11 p.m., and I walk downtown, and there are just all these people. And I'm like, where did you all come from? Because it's just packed. And then I heard one of them say something about a Pikachu, and I was like, Pokemon Go dropped. It's super cute. She keeps sending screenshots of when Pokemon turn up inside the house. Got a visitor. That is cute. That is really cute. Yes, Jake, you have been with me on some of those late night walks. They're fun. I enjoy them. Sometimes you'll get into a situation that's a little bit hairy, or you'll walk into an area that's like not the like kind of like ew, but you just get out of there as quick as you can, and then you're good. You also enjoy walking around at night, taking pictures of people's windows? Yeah. You try to do it so that you don't look like a creep, but it's just interesting because you look in those windows and you're like, I wonder what they're doing up so late, because it's like 1 a.m., you know? And then you wonder, like, I made an Instagram story about this one. It's like, you wonder if they look out their window and see you, especially like in apartment buildings. Like, I wonder what that person's doing out walking, because you'll never really know, you know? You'll never know their fears, their goals, their wishes, their worries. You'll probably never interact with them. You know? It's a whole bunch of like little like compact universes where they're the center of their universe and everyone else is a non-playable character, right? And it's just kind of a trip because we're all like that, you know? Like everyone's got their own complex, amazing little lives. That you won't be privy to every single aspect of that life, you know, just like they won't be privy to yours. It's fascinating. I'll probably do a show about that one day. That might even be the concept for my next show. I don't know. I got to get this one done first. I believe the term for that whole thing is it's called Sonder. Just the idea that you know, everyone has a life just as multifaceted and complex as yours, but it's kind of a trip to like put your head around that. I have to admit, though, I have never played Pokemon Go. That's because until Jake from the Woods very graciously got me Pokemon Shield, I hadn't played a Pokemon game before, and I hadn't really been interested in it. I kind of felt it was, my thinking at the time was, it kind of passed me by. Sort of like my desire to go to Disney World or climb to the top of the CN Tower. It's like, I don't really need to do that now. But then I played Sword and Shield, and I was like, oh, okay, so actually I would have loved Pokemon growing up. But we didn't have Pokemon because, you know, we could only afford like a couple of games. And there were, what we would do usually, I've mentioned this before, is we would usually rent games at the Video Movie Shop in Chatham, little independent store. We would rent video games, and then every once and again we would find a video game that like we could afford to buy, you know, and then like my parents would save up and buy it for Christmas. And then when I started making my own money, then obviously I could buy more games. But usually they were like Christmas gifts or birthday gifts, and you got like one. Unless you lucked out and found like my mom found Super Mario RPG at a thrift store, either a thrift store or a yard sale. Either way, she paid like $25 for it, which was a steal. Anyway, what was my point? My point was like we didn't have Pokemon because there were other games that I was more interested in renting and possibly buying, like the Paper Mario series, or you know, the Mario parties, or when I got old enough, Madden. I started renting Madden. Video movie shop goated, yeah. I always loved the smell of the video movie shop, like. And even when I smell that smell now, it's rare, but when I catch a whiff of the certain scent that they used in there, it brings me right back. And what that scent is you know those Glade air fresheners? Well, I think it's a peach one. Because I was working at the Wish Center in Chatham, and I went into the bathroom, and they had one of those Glade, and I think it was peach. And it smelled exactly like the video movie shop, and I was like, I need to go get 20 of these. And then I never did. It's like my dad. My dad had an old. It's funny how smell. I think I read somewhere once that the sense of smell is the strongest tie to memory of all the 5 major senses. But anyway, my dad had an old Ford Tempo when I was like very, very young. The muffler fell out of that Ford Tempo when we were driving to school once. Anyway. I always loved the smell of that car. And we had a videotape, or a cassette tape, that my dad would basically play that tape constantly in that car, and the tape smells like the car. But I could never place what that smell was. And then I moved in with my cousin when I moved up to this area, and her basement, she had a jar of potpourri that smelled exactly like that. And I just texted my dad, potpourri. And he was very confused, as you would be. And I was like, that's what your old car smelled like. And it was. He had potpourri air fresheners. And again, I was like, okay, I need to go find some potpourri air fresheners. I have not been able to find any potpourri air fresheners anywhere. Which is just as well, though, because my girlfriend doesn't particularly like the smell of potpourri, I don't think. So it's fine, but it's like, oh man. When I was a kid, the bloke over the road had an 8-track tape player in his car. That's cool though. That's cool. That's fresh. I found an 8-track player at a yard sale once and bought it like immediately, even though I had no 8-track tapes. And then I found an 8-track of the Commodore's album Natural High. And then I fired up the 8-track player, and wouldn't you know, the 8-track player didn't work. Which is, I mean, they probably shouldn't have sold it at a yard sale, but that's probably why it was in the yard sale, because it didn't work. And I did not have the technical know-how at the time to get it to work. So, I'll be right back, y'all. I'm just gonna do something real quick, but I will be right back. So stay tuned. I gotta get to my scene. All right, and we're back. Thanks for waiting, everybody. I was just helping my girlfriend take the sheets off the bed because she's doing a load of laundry and she wanted to wash the sheets. So they're kind of a pain to take off by yourself, so I thought I'd lend a hand. Now you'll notice that I'm going up into this area with this paint. Don't worry, it's okay. Because we're going to be repainting this line anyway. That's basically what we're doing here, is defining these lines a little better. There we go. What is the record these days? Oh. What is the record these days? If you mean this one is Bless This House by the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, which I've mentioned before. Yeah, the palette. Yeah, I've mentioned before, I was never going to listen to this record. If I want to listen to gospel music, I'm going to listen to the Winans, I'm going to listen to BB and CC, I'm going to listen to Kirk Franklin, Mary Mary, Fred Hammond, Commission, I'm going to listen to them. I'm not listening to the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. I mean, all respect to them, they're good singers. Doesn't interest me. So, instead it's a palette. Which I think is a pretty good purpose for it, personally. Okay, I want to soften this dark line just a tad. Just a little bit. First I'm going to wash off my brush though, because is starting to get a little bit gummed up. There we go. That's better. You want to be aware of that if you're painting, especially with acrylic. You want to start noticing, like, if it seems like the paint's starting to dry in your brush, it's probably best to start washing your brush more often. Deconstructing records, exactly. I have a feeling that one of my shows, like if I do like a purely abstract show or something, that's when I'll hang all these up like in the foyer on the wall. You know, just to be like, hey, this is my artistic process, like right here. In case you're curious. Doing detail stuff like this is really where you get to see just how much, I mean, I'm sure other artists do too, but at least me, like just how much you tend to go over the same area over and over again, just kind of perfecting it little by little as you go. It doesn't get all done in one fell swoop, which is kind of another reason why I started this stream process, so that people could see, like, it's not like, because a lot of people are kind of mystified by the art making process, sort of like they are with filmmaking, right? Because you don't really have much access to it. And a lot of people think that what you do is like magic and you get it on one go and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I'm here to show you that no. There are mistakes to be made, and I make a lot of them. And then here's how I correct them as we go. You know, here's how I like change things subtly to get more toward what I want to portray. You know, which I think is important to show people. Because I think, and this is no disrespect to these artists that do it, but you see those folks on like, you know, you'll see them in like little clips on like Instagram or TikTok, where it's like they're painting a thing upside down and they like, you know, they flip it upside, like the right side up, and it's like a perfect likeness of somebody. And it's like, yeah, that's fantastic, but that's not how a lot of art making is. Because a lot of people will look at my stuff and be like, oh man, like, is it sort of the same process like that? You know, where I just sit down and then like paint really quick and then we get something like this. And it's like, no, actually, my paintings take a lot longer. And some people are surprised to learn that, you know. There's not one art making process that everyone follows and is like an industry standard, you know. So in addition to trying to make art more accessible to people who feel like it isn't accessible enough, I also kind of want to demystify the art making process a little bit, which I hope that comes across. I hope that makes sense. There's a lot of stuff that I say that makes sense in my head, and then I say it and everyone's like, what? You know, and with any type of task or creation, whether it's like in creative arts or otherwise, to get good at something takes practice. And all that practice is continually making mistakes and then correcting them, right? That's all practice is. And then that's what I do here. I make a ton of mistakes, and then most of the time I correct them. Sometimes I just leave them. or I cover them up with abstract stuff and say, all right, there we go, fixed. Okay, so now I'm just gonna look at this from a distance again. That's better. That line is better. That line is much better. Much, much better. Okay. So now we're going to start working on this here. How do I want to approach this? Sorry, my frame rate keeps dropping every once and again. Just internet doing internet things. Actually, you know what'll make this easier? I'll be right back again. I'm going to leave this up because it's only going to take a second. But I'm going to go grab a chair. And I'm going to sit on the chair and do this next part. Because I think that'll make this easier. Because it's kind of like in a weird spot where like my hand angle, like it's going to be too low if I'm kneeling. And it's too tall if I'm like standing. So I will be right back. All right, and we're back with an old computer chair. I got this chair when I was still in university, so it's been around for a while. Yeah, that's a better angle. The internet is acting up today. I don't know why. So what we're going to do, again, because I got to go do tax stuff, so what I'm going to do is we're going to paint for another 15 minutes, and then I'm going to go raid somebody. And I'll hang out in the raid for a little bit while I get the rest of my tax stuff together. But yeah, I won't be staying in the raid for too long. So I'm going to try and raid somebody that we already know, because I mean, obviously you got to do what you got to do, and I think a lot of Twitch streamers understand it, but I try not to raid and run with people that are new, especially because, like, if they're, whatever they're doing, whether it's art or games or what have you, I do like to hang around and see what they're about, you know? But today I won't really be able to do that, so. Reminds me it's tax season over here as well. Yeah. I mentioned it before, but I kind of like doing my own taxes. It's kind of therapeutic in a way. And since I enjoy it, I have been commissioned by my younger brother, my sister, and my dad to like help them with their taxes too. Because my mom, for years, would do our taxes, and my Aunt Vicky. would do our taxes. And then my mom passed away, and then we all kind of like, well, we all didn't move away. My older brother didn't move away, and my younger sister didn't. My older brother moved out of our hometown. My younger brother did, and so did I. So we weren't really in close proximity to have anybody else do our taxes except us. So I just buckled down one year and was like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to do this. And then it ended up being like pretty straightforward actually. And I kind of liked it. I was like, look at me, taking care of my business. Oh yeah, Jake, like you're like a hop, skip, and a jump away from your home. We don't really have to do much if you don't have any special circumstances. You just look at the agency's website and confirm that the info is correct. Takes 5 minutes. Oh, that's nice. We have to do our own tax. It's ridiculous because like the government has all the information that they need, unless you're self-employed. It makes sense for people who are self-employed to do income tax, but for everyone else, like the government has all the information that they need to like just either send us a check or send us a bill, right? But instead we got to do it ourselves. Which, that part of it, I understand why that's a pain. Like, it's like, you don't really need to. This year, I don't know how things are going to go. Because last year, I was out of work because of COVID. So I was on employment insurance for a long time. Like a year and a half. Thankfully, or actually closer to a year. So thankfully, I had that money coming in at the very least, and that helped cover our bills. And thankfully, I had enough savings to cover our bills. And my girlfriend works too, and we live together, so we were fine. But I gotta account for that because I didn't have any job income coming in. And then on top of that, I made not a good amount of money, but I made more money than I have before doing commissions. So I'm going to declare that. And I'm also going to declare expenses related to that commission creation. Like all my art expenses, I'm declaring all those. So I have no idea. I have a feeling I'm going to have to pay. I just don't know whether it's going to be a lot or a little. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. Yeah, since they have... my internet keeps dropping. I don't know why. It's getting volatile. Yeah, since they have all the info, they just do the calculations for us. Even tax break stuff, the contractors report to the tax agency, and they calculate for that too. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. That would be ideal. It's very simplified, and it isn't quite this process. But I remember seeing I think it was an American video, but it still kind of applied to Canada, where it was like a high schooler being like, hey, can we learn about taxes? It was a skit. And it's like, hey, can we learn about taxes? And it was like, no, we're going to teach you all this other stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. But I don't know how to do taxes. It's like, well, you better learn how to do taxes. Oh, what happens if I get my taxes wrong? It's like, oh, you go to jail. It's like, oh, that seems like something we should probably learn. So that we don't go to jail. I butchered that skit. I mean, it's a lot more succinct and funnier than that. But the general gist of it is like, yeah, you probably should... They should probably teach us how to do taxes when we're in high school. At least the very basic aspects of it. It's very helpful information because there's a lot of people who don't know how to do their taxes. And then once I learned how to do it, it is actually fairly straightforward if you have very straightforward income, But, and by straightforward income, I mean like in Canada, like you get a T4, stating like all the information, It can be fairly straightforward, but, oh, you know that one too? Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Because it's like, yeah, maybe teach stuff to people so that they don't go to jail if they get it wrong. And again, it's a little more nuanced than that in real life, because like if there's something that's really fishy, like they'll do an investigation first, like they'll do an audit, you know, and then determine from there whether tax fraud actually took place, and like you might just get a fine or, you know, all that. Like it's not a you go directly to jail, but it is still kind of frustrating how they don't teach it. You know, something that you'll have to deal with for the rest of your working life. Actually, the rest of your life, really. But I suppose, once again, like the problem with teaching is like they have to determine like what curriculum to, because there's so many things to learn. It's like, well, what's important and what's not, and that can't be an easy decision to have to come to every single year. The employer is responsible for all of that in England. Here, the employer, like, it is kind of nice in Canada because there are, like, some tax things that are taken off of your paycheck automatically, so you don't have to calculate all that stuff, which is nice. That's a nice concession. But at the end of the day, you still have to compile all that stuff and then file it, you know. Having an obtuse tax system is also an equality issue, to be honest. Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Most definitely. Which some might argue that that's the that's the point of it, being so obtuse. And it's also frustrating because like there have been movements to have the government just do people's taxes for them, like within reason. Again, if you're self-employed, like obviously the government's not going to know how much money you're making, right? But for the people who do get like T4s and have their like income reported, there have been movements to basically petition the government to just do all that themselves so that people have one less thing to worry about in their day-to-day lives. But then you have companies like Intuit and TurboTax and H&R Block who lobby the government to not allow that, because if they did that, then they would kind of be out of business, you know. So instead, they put it all on to the worker themselves, so that they can use TurboTax and everything. Which is why I tend to use it is ludicrous. It really is. But that's why I used to use TurboTax, and then I learned that. So now I use Simple Tax because at least so far, well, it's now Simple Tax, but at least it's free. And as far as I know, they don't lobby the government to make taxes purposely more difficult for people than they need to be. Radical thought. Not everything has to be a business. Right? Not everything has to be a business. But Grey Cat, think of all the money that would just be left on the table if you didn't make everything a business. Think of the shareholders. Won't anybody think of the trust fund babies? Left in your pocket, you mean? Yeah, exactly. But hey, at the same time, I understand. Like, I don't want this to come across that
you know, we shouldn't be paying taxes, or taxes shouldn't be a thing, because I do like the maintenance of infrastructure. I do quite like that. I do like the fact that if I want a pothole filled, like, I don't have to pay for it out of my own pocket directly. I can just call the city and be like, hey, there's a pothole over here, and then they'll come and fill it. Now, that doesn't happen everywhere. And obviously there's a fair amount of corruption in places, but in general, I'm okay. Like, I'm fine with paying taxes. It's just, it should not be nearly the struggle for people that it is. You know? And that's been Tax Talk with TJ Brown. Okay, we're coming up on the end here, so I'm just gonna fill all this in. Because I think I'm gonna make this whole thing black. Taxes well planned and spent are fantastic, and that's why the government should be making it as easy as possible to pay them. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. So yeah, we'll finish this line, and then we'll go. That's why it's mind-boggling that lobbying works. It's counter to the government's purpose. True, but the problem with that, Grey Cat, and I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you, but the problem with that is that people are corruptible, and people are, you know, not infallible, and are prone to... Everybody can be bought and sold. Everybody has a different price, but everybody can be bought and sold. Some people's prices are such that they'll never realistically be bought and sold, and some people's are much more manageable, and that's unfortunately what it comes down to. Gonna drop it here, but poli-sci major shines through here. Will I get put on a list if I click that? It's not actually a link. I don't think it'll lead. Fair, fair. Okay, so we're going to fill this in here, and then I'll do a little round, show you what we worked on. I'll take you on a tour around the painting, and then it's funny because we obviously made progress, but it's going to look at first glance like we took two steps backwards, but trust me, there's progress here. More progress than not. So let me just cover up my paint so it doesn't dry out. Here we go. All right. Always love watching streams while doing art. So relaxing. Ah, nice. What? Before we finish, Redro, what were you working on? And as always, like if you're working on a piece of artwork while we're together here, feel free to drop it in the chat if you want to let people see it. But there's our clouds again. And then what we did today was we cleaned up all of this fascia on the front of the building. We even put in a little bit of a glossy highlight here that's reflecting this pillar. We did this pillar. We did this area in here where the doors for the house are going to be, that are largely going to be covered up by this tree again. We're going to have to repaint that, just as we're going to have to repaint up here and in here where the garage is. But that'll be tomorrow, because we'll be working on this tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. But all in all, I like how this is coming along. This is starting to look like a house, you know. So things are progressing well. So let me zoom out here, and then let me roll in here. I'm on a chair today, so I get to be a little bit more comfortable. All right, let's find somebody to raid, shall we? Which is always an interesting prospect on a Sunday morning, because there's not many people who stream on Sunday mornings, especially when I'm sure there are some people who forgot that the time changed. Let's see. It would probably help to go to actually like Twitch's front page, wouldn't it? That would probably be a good idea. Oh, you know what? Calico Kitties is streaming right now. There we go. And she's only got four viewers right now. What she's working on is she's working on a truck. She's doing like a model truck. So it's a little bit different than painting, but you know, I like the vibe of her channel. She's very cool. So we'll go say hi to her. So let's go to raid Calico Kitties. Boom. There we go. I must try and remember these Sunday streams. Hey, Ulrich, whether you do or you don't, I just appreciate it whenever anybody comes in. Whether you say hello, whether you lurk, whether you click in for a second and then leave, or whether you come in and chat. Like, I just appreciate everybody who comes out and watches what I do here. So, yes, cheers to you, Ulrich, as well. And I hope everything goes well for you. Feel free to keep me posted. And yeah, I hope everybody else has a wonderful week coming up. Schedule, right, so tomorrow we'll be streaming 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing art. And then Wednesday, we'll be doing some more Breath of the Wild at 6 p.m. And then Thursday, we'll come back to doing some art, 6 p.m. again, all Eastern time. But yeah, no, thank you all. Thank you all for coming in. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, let's go say hi to Calico Kitties, shall we? All right. So yeah, take it easy, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week. All right. Bye, everybody. Where's my scene for... There it is. Bye, everybody.